Welcome back to GA Fan TV. My name is Aaron. I'm delighted to be joined here by Matthew Hurley of the GA Statsman podcast. We're here to run through all the latest GA news stories as well as some club results from the weekend. So certainly a lot to discuss, a lot to break down, and definitely a lot of new things happening in the GA, obviously, in the last couple of weeks. Plenty of discussion around the National League finals, plenty of new managerial appointments as well. So certainly a lot to discuss. Just a reminder, we're brought to you by Declan Kirby GAA Star, the best children's GAA book out there in the market at the minute. You can find it on Amazon, Easons, all good bookshops. So make sure to check it out when you get a chance. Matthew, how's things with yourself? I know obviously you've been flat out covering a lot of the Cork hurling and football championships, obviously in the county. So how's life going with yourself?
Yeah, all good, Aaron. Thanks for having me on again. Long time no see, definitely. We haven't done these in a while. But yeah, I've been, as you said, flat out with the Cork Championships, mostly with West Cork sides because I'm with a West Cork paper placement from college. So I'm doing a lot there though, and doing a lot of the Carberry Championships. If Cork fans know it, they probably know it. It's the West Cork Championship down here in West Cork. So yeah, doing a lot of that now, and the semi-finals next week. The football will be big now. West Cork is a football area. Like you have O'Donnell Rossford, Skib, Castlehaven, obviously in action against the Bars next week. That'll be a big game, and Bantry Blues, the Premier Intermediate Championship as well. So three sides involved there. A lot of busy work to get through as well next week. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, Aaron, and yeah, glad to be on the show again.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said there, it definitely has been a bit of a while, but obviously there probably hasn't been too much to discuss over the last couple of weeks. But I suppose one topic that a lot of people were discussing during the week, and I obviously put out a few tweets about it, plenty of people were discussing it online, and ex-players and pundits and everything else about, I suppose, the proposal for the National Football League finals and the Hurling League final, I think, as well, to be scrapped entirely from the GA calendar in 2023. Now, thankfully enough, it isn't the proposal to scrap the finals aren't going ahead. Thankfully enough, it does seem that there was a bit of common sense in the end from the GA or from whoever in the end was making the decision. Because, look, I do think at the end of the day, league finals in Croke Park, fair enough for Division 1, like having the league final in Croke Park maybe isn't that big of a deal for your Dublins, your Kerry, Mayo, etc., etc. But for a lot of the Division 2, 3, and 4 sides, it's probably a unique time for them to get to Croke Park. And the fact that, top officials in the GA were actually thinking of getting rid of them was very disappointing, in my opinion. What was your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I looking at the news once it came out, Aaron, I was actually disgusted by it. When you look at it, like this current system at the moment, it kind of suicides like not even Dublin, Kerry, Tyrone, all them big counties, but the likes of Cork, Kildare, and all them, because they have a realistic opportunity to get to Croke Park in the championship. But what I'm thinking of is Leitrim, for example, 2019 Division 4 finalists. They wouldn't have got the chance to reach Croke Park in any way. Like Sligo reaches Hattie Cup semi-final, but that's only down to 4 sides, and only one Division 4 side reached the semi-final. And when you look at it in detail, Sligo beat 2 Division 4 sides to get there. So, like Division 4 sides were really, really, I would say, disappointed by the news. You look at London, who made progress this year, and for that opportunity to nearly be taken away from them was an absolute disgrace in its own way. You look at down through the years, when you look at Waterford reached a Division 4 final in 2011, Leitrim, as I mentioned, in 19, even Louth Limerick, like a lot of fans went up there to cheer on their county. And even when you look at Clare in Division 4, like they won a trophy in Croke Park in, I don't know what year it was, at Division 3, they beat Kildare in the final. And those sorts of stories wouldn't have happened again with this sort of thing coming in. I was really against this decision. There was a lot of uproar over it, and ultimately I think that's why the GA changed their decision. And I think it was literally down to money and greed in its own way as well, because like we all know the GA kind of price people out as well, and they don't really, well, they brought in the Tally Cup and thinking, okay, that's okay for the smaller counties to deal with. But what they should have been doing, the Tally Cup was a good step in the right direction, but what they needed was more development for the smaller counties. And with this decision that was going to come in, it wasn't going to do at all. And thankfully, the GA reversed their decision. But ultimately, I think they reversed their decision because of the backlash and the media from yourself, from myself, from anybody else in the GA, related to GA as well, that's probably why the GA backed up on their decision. But if it did go through, geez, there'd be major uproar.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's a strange decision in many ways with the fact that they came up with it. Like I understand maybe attendances this year for the National League finals maybe weren't particularly brilliant, and maybe they've looked at attendances and sort of seen a bit of a drop from time to time. But then again, it is quite tough for fans of these counties, of the likes of Leitrim, of the likes of Roscommon to make the trip to Dublin. Let's not forget the league finals this year as well. I think were held around March. I don't think the weather was particularly brilliant. So it is a big ask for fans to actually make that travel down to Dublin to Croke Park, but to completely rob them of the opportunity to play in Croke Park, which doesn't happen often for a lot of these counties. Like you said, Leitrim 2019. How far back would you have to go for Leitrim playing in Croke Park if there wasn't National League finals? You've got counties like Fermanagh getting to league finals, Louth and Limerick, brilliant attendance at that game this year as well. So it was very, very odd, and I'm not exactly sure what the whole reasoning of it was. Like apparently a lot of congested fixtures, and maybe that was the reason why they were trying to get rid of them to make more space for the championship. But like I think there's other ways to do it surely than actually just getting rid of the league finals. Like apparently pre-season tournaments were still going to be going ahead as well. And maybe that's because sponsors are involved. And I think when you have when there's money on the line, then all of a sudden it's okay to play these games. So as you said, it was very, very odd, the whole reasoning behind it. But thankfully enough, anyways, they've come to some sort of conclusion, and the league finals will be going ahead in 2023.
Exactly. So, and I watched one of your videos recently about the current championship structure that's going to come in to play next year when the quarterfinals, pre-quarterfinals are kind of like a group stage. And like, while I like the Super 8's kind of idea as a Cork fan, playing the likes of Dublin and Tyrone and all that, but there was the caveat to that. There was loads of, let's just say, dead rubbers. Like, you look at, for example, the Dublin-Tyrone game in home at that time. Like, both sides weren't playing for a win at all. And Cork and Roscommon down in Parky Green, it was an entertaining game, but it was a rainy day and the tickets cost €35. I mean, come on, And the Super 8 was a money spinner. It ultimately didn't work. The GA should have learned that. And they're bringing in another system very similar to the Super 8s as well. So, and then they're adding a quarter-final to that as well. That's why the fixtures are congested in a way. Like, what are the GA trying to do? Are they trying to tire out players just for the benefit of money? I don't know what it is about this. I get there's COVID, but like COVID was 2 years ago now. Like that, the empty stadiums was 2 years ago. The GA have to move on now. Park that under the boat now, and play league finals and stuff like that. Like, league finals could get its own, recognition. If it was, as you said, rightly said, it was on in March. If it was on in April, maybe there'd be a bit more, urgency to go to these games. That'll be the main thing. Like, I'd imagine, like, if Louth and Limerick were playing in April, I think maybe not Limerick because they're hurling supporters, but I think a lot of Louth supporters would definitely make the journey to Croke Park that day. If Meath reach a Division 2 final, I think a lot of people will go there. Wexford in Division 4 as well, if they reach a final, particularly counties around Leinster, if they reach a league final, I think there'll be a lot of attendance there. So the GA should be aiming towards that and stop with the nonsense of building up fixtures for themselves. That's my honest opinion. Looking at it before your video, I looked at balls.ie, an article there, and I was thinking, okay, this could suit Cork, for example, getting to a Munster final and then easily get to a quarter final. But what I'm thinking is, well, this is going to build up more fixtures for the GA, and ultimately it's going to eat into the club season as well, and it's going to eat into the Alliance League season. So what's the benefit? It's not beneficial for smaller counties. It's not beneficial for clubs. I think it's just greed, to be honest with you, Aaron. I don't know what you think yourself, but yeah, it's a thing I don't want creeping into the GA, but unfortunately, I think it might have already.
Yeah, like and like group stages, like we've seen in club championships around the country, they definitely can work, but I think they need to be done properly. Like I think the whole idea of 3 teams being able to progress from a group of 4, like it just. And I know some people would say, oh, well, at least then on the final day, some teams might have still games to play for, like the team in 4th might still have something to play for. So maybe it wouldn't be as dead rubber as what I suggested. But at the same time, you're going to have some teams that are already guaranteed to have 1st and 2nd, potentially even guaranteed to have already gotten to the quarterfinals. So then in the final game, they may as well just rest players, because it doesn't really matter if you finish first, second, third. There's no difference between finishing second and third. So it's just very, very unusual in my opinion. I think maybe if you had group stages for the back door, I think that would be interesting. If you just put all the backdoor teams into the group stages, maybe then I suppose the only argument you'd potentially have against that then is that beaten provincial finalists probably wouldn't get any reward as such. But I suppose one flip side on the argument of the league finals, and obviously on Twitter and on social media and online and everything else, I think the general consensus was that everyone did want league finals. But I definitely did see a few people who probably did say, well, if you finish first in Division 1 of the National League and then you go into the league final and you lose, is that maybe still a bit unfair at the same time? For a team that could win 7 games in the league, go into the league final, and then lose the final. I mean, what are your sort of thoughts on that? Because that seemed to be some of the argument. A lot of people were saying, well, if a team finishes first, they should then technically win the league or win the title, whatever division it is. I don't exactly agree with that, but what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's the same situation with relegation. I'm going to use a kind of an anecdote with Cork here. Erogue lost all their games in the Premier Senior Championship. Newstown at least drew a game. They went into a relegation playoff, and who won that? Erogue won it and stayed up. I just think, look, it's tough if it happens, but it happens. I'm just thinking, I'm more for the benefit of having Leitrim and Croke Park to build up, a bit of positivity in the county, rather than side finishing first and then winning the league. Ultimately, I don't think that's what the league is about. I think the league is about developing teams, getting teams to Croke Park that don't usually get there in a quarter-final or an All-Ireland series, especially Division 3 and Division 4 sides. That's my honest opinion on that. And as for Division 1 and Division 2 teams, maybe it's an issue for Division 2 teams. But for Division 1, I think I would have known about this a few years ago now with Cork, but I think yourselves, Kerry, Mayo would probably know more about this. But I actually hazard a guess to say, you don't care about the league. You care about more of All-Ireland wins. You don't care about winning a league title, even if you win 7 games. So I don't think it will push the bigger counties in even more. I think the benefits have to go to the smaller counties in Division 3 and Division 4. For them to play in Croke Park is absolutely crucial. If they don't play in Croke Park, then what's the point of finishing in the top 2? And in Leitrim's case, if they didn't play a league final in 19, they would have gone straight back down to Division 4, and it would have been a waste of time. So I definitely be for keeping the finals there. And if a side wins 7 games and doesn't win the league title, tough. If a side loses all their games, it still stays up, again, tough. It's the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. You can't really please everybody, but I in my opinion, I think you need to pay more attention to the smaller counties, developing them and getting them to Croke Park, because it's the least they deserve, really.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think, I think at the end of the day, for a lot of the teams in Division, well, all the teams that are promoted in Division 2, 3 and 4, they still get promoted anyways. It's not like they're robbed of promotion. It's not like it's one team that gets promoted or anything like that. But both sides obviously get promoted. They're just fighting it out for the title. And as you said then, a lot of the sides who are competing in the National Football League final, again, there's been plenty of times down the years where Dublin have, looked brilliant throughout the entirety of the league, got to the league final. I remember Kerry beat us one time on the hop numerous years ago. So it's happened time and time again, and that's just kind of how it is. That's the way it has been, and I think that's the way it definitely should be moving forward. I suppose moving on from that, we'll have a look at some recent managerial appointments that I haven't had a chance to discuss in recent podcasts or anything of that nature. Desi Dolan confirmed as Westmeath senior football manager. He takes over Jack Cooney, who had a very successful spell in many ways. He obviously won that Tailteann Cup very recently, and he obviously goes into the GAA themselves, taking up a role in there. So Desi Dolan coming in. I mean, he doesn't have experience as a senior football manager just yet, but then again, I don't think there was probably, there may have been some better options. Anthony Cunningham maybe would have been a good show, possibly even a Malachy O'Rourke. But I think, there's no man who knows Westmeath football better than Desi Dolan. Like, he is Westmeath true and true. And look, who knows how it will work out, but it's a bit like the Mead appointment, a bit like some other managerial appointments. It's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on the Leinster Championship next year.
It is definitely, and on Desi Dolan, like he retired in 2014. Like, he's been out of the game really for 8 years. He went on the Sunday game for a bit. He was co-commentary, so I think he's learned a lot while he's been on the show. So I think it's the perfect time for him to go into managerial. Like, you see, even with soccer, for example, I'm thinking, for example, Scott Parker went into jobs way too early after retirement. Desi Dolan's now at 8 years in the Sunday game, So I think he's learned a lot. I think he will learn a lot for next year. And he's going into a situation with Westmeath in the best possible place, really, because they're confirmed to be a Sam Maguire team next year after winning the Tailteann Cup. And he knows the players inside out as well. So I think it's a brilliant appointment in all cylinders for him personally and for Westmeath as well, for developing these players. And like a bit of a thing as well, like even a West Cork junior side that's in the Carberry Championship at the moment. Their coach is Paddy Cassan, a former All-Star for Cork. Desi Dolan's a former All-Star in Westmeath and one of a few. So a lot of them players would have looked up to Desi Dolan when they've grown up, and even James Dolan, who's his cousin as well, would know him personally as well as that. And like, I'm speaking to James Dolan on episode 22 of my own podcast, the GAA Statsman podcast, if you haven't checked it out already, and he's just in awe of what Desi has done for Westmeath. He's an absolute legend there. And I think it's an absolute brilliant appointment for Westmeath, for him personally, because he's been out of, he's been in retirement for 8 years. And for the Westmeath players personally as well, because a lot of them will be looking up to Desi Dolan and thinking, we'd want to get an All-Star just like him. We want to play for this manager because he's a legend of Westmeath football. So I think it's an absolutely brilliant appointment for Westmeath. Jack Cooney, I was surprised when it happened, but when it was revealed he was going to Croke Park doing a job there, I was thinking best of luck to him. He's done an absolutely brilliant job. He's done absolutely outstanding with that Westmeath team. He did very well against Mayo, against Cork, against Meath, that Division 2 campaign. I'm very unlucky to go down. Then he won the Tailteann Cup. He did an outstanding job, and he owes Westmeath football nothing. But this appointment of Desi Dolan, I think it's an underrated appointment. I think it's an absolutely brilliant appointment for Westmeath. And looking at them, they're in the Sam Maguire Cup. There's no pressure on them.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great gig to go into. And I think the fact that they're in Division 3, whilst Westmeath would have, I'm sure, wanted to have gotten promoted last year, as you said, they're in the Sam Maguire Cup, guarantees, no matter what happens to them in the league or anything after that. So, and in Division 3, let's be honest, they're going to be thereabouts. They're going to be winning a lot more games and they're going to be losing games. And that builds developments, it builds confidence. Winning breeds confidence, as they say. And yeah, I think it's going to work out very well. I think this Westmeath football side, they're undoubtedly I've seen some arguments that they're better than the team that won the Leinster Championship in 2004. I think maybe only Westmeath fans can really answer that one. I think in my opinion, I think they need to get to a Leinster final or push the Dubs a little bit. I know the landscape of Gaelic football is so much different now compared to 2004. Dublin are a completely different animal, even though they've regressed in the last couple of seasons. And given the fact that they obviously have Paul Manny and Jack McCaffrey coming back in next year as well, it's going to be even tougher to do anything in the Leinster Championship. But look, as you said, him going in there, very, very good side. A lot of young players in there, a lot of players around the right age gap. So Westmeath in Division 3, I mean, they're going to be a force, I'd say.
I say they are, yeah. I think they'll probably top the division, even though it will be very tough for them. Like, they're in with Cavan, Offaly, who themselves have appointed Liam Kearns as manager, an All-Ireland semi-finalist with Tipperary, let's not forget. So he'll definitely get a lot out of them Offaly players. You look at Down, we were mentioning on this podcast saying they've had an F of a season, they've had a terrible season overall, but they brought in Conor Laverty now, and what's that's going to do is it's going to bring on more Kilcoo players to come into the Down team because he's a Kilcoo club player himself. So that's going to be brilliant for Down. So I think it's going to be between Offaly, Cavan, Down, and Westmeath to get top 2 in that division. It's going to be very tough to even get out of that division. But I think Westmeath, with Desi Dolan, I think they're well set for this. I think they're a very good side. And looking at them last year, they were one of the most exciting sides to watch. You look at Ronan O'Toole at centre forward, John Heslin, Luke Loughlin, Ray Connellan in midfield. Ronan Wallace, James Dolan, Jamie Gnu. They have good players all over the field, this Westmeath team, and I think they'll do well in Leinster this year. Actually think they're better than their neighbours across the way in Meath. I actually think they're much better than that Meath team. I know that's a big statement now, but I think with the players Westmeath have now are better than the players Meath have at the moment. I'm going to anger a lot of Meath fans there, but I think it's actually possible that Westmeath, if they face Meath now, could beat them. I genuinely believe that, and Westmeath will be big favourites to go up to Division 2, no doubt about it.
Yeah, like on the basis of last year, on the basis of the last couple of seasons or whatever, I certainly would agree with you. I think Westmeath, clearly have a lot more. Even though Meath went up to Division 1 and looked very, very good there and were very competitive, but I think over the last 2 seasons, you could arguably say that Meath have definitely regressed quite a bit, and Westmeath probably have more of a consistent team. I think you know sort of their big players, whereas with Meath there seems to be quite a bit of a turnover sort of year in, year out. But another new manager that's come in is Vinnie Corey of coming in as Monaghan senior football manager. Interesting, again, another manager coming into his first senior inter-county role. What were your thoughts on this one?
It's a bit different to Desi Dolan because Vinnie Corey's only been out of the game as a player really for 2-3 years now. So that's a really big appointment for this guy, Vinnie Corey. Like when you look at Monaghan over the last few weeks, they've gone for Jason Sherlock, they've gone for Joe Brennan, they've gone for a load of people, and they've all said no. Malik O'Rourke, I think, as well. So like it seems like nobody wants the Monaghan job, and they kind of like, you look at Roy Began, Conor McManus, even Jack McCarran, a lot of them players are now getting on. And this is going to be a big job for Vinnie Corey though to, steady the ship a small bit. I'm not sure, will this be the nail in the coffin? Will this be the year where Monaghan go down? I know we say that every single year, but will this be the year now? With Banty gone, with an inexperienced coach coming in, will this be the year that Monaghan go down? This will be a big, big year for this Monaghan team, and a big, big job for Vinnie Corey to fill Banty's boots. Like, Banty didn't do a bad job with Monaghan. I don't think he did anyway. Like, when you look at the landscape of last year, they were very, very unlucky against Mayo to lose. And will they get up to that level again? I'm not too sure. Like, you look at the population of Monaghan, they've punched above their weight for years. And will this be the managerial appointment now, which degrades them a small bit? I'm not sure, but I don't want to see it happen. I like Monaghan as a county. I want them to see them do well. But I just think this county, I think, are on a downward spiral, Aaron. I think Monaghan could be going down to Division 2 next year, and they could be even struggle once they get to Division 2, in all honesty. Like, the population of that county, a lot of their players are getting on a small bit, Conor McManus being the main one. I think it could be a rough couple of years now for Monaghan football.
Yeah, I think it's a very risky appointment in some respects. Like, I think even Jason Sherlock would have been very risky. I think there's a lot of managers that were potentially in talks there that were coming in, and it's a hard one to know. Like, maybe Monaghan fans will know more. Like, I know he's worked under Banty McEnany over the last couple of seasons, but clearly no clear management experience there. Like, and coming up against these top teams in Division 1, and as we've seen with Monaghan and we've seen with Banty, like, he's done a great job of keeping Monaghan in Division 1, but I think there's plenty of examples down the years in the National Football League, in other sports as well. When you think of the Premier League, like, there's only so many times you can pull off that great escape. Eventually it will catch up with you. And they have had a couple of younger players come through in the last couple of seasons. Aaron Mulligan was one, I remember, that everyone was speaking about. Didn't see too much of him last year. I don't know if there was an injury or something else going on there. So there is some players coming through there, but at the same time, like, the levels of your Conor McManus's, these lads, like, your Kieran Darren Hughes, like, these lads are getting on a bit, and you do worry that there could be a bit of a regression now over the next couple of years.
Yeah, definitely so. And it's kind of like, we've said this analogy so many times on a podcast recently. It's like a county reaches the top of the mountain and, they don't know how to go any further. Like, Monaghan reached an All-Ireland semi-final. They've won Ulster Championships. I honestly think that's the limit for Monaghan. I genuinely think so. Like, they've an outstanding group of players, no doubt about it. But when you look at the population of the county, the numbers they have, the number of clubs they have, there's only a certain distance a county could go, and I just think this Monaghan team is on the way down now. When you look at the other sides in Ulster, they're improving. You look at Armagh, Donegal still have players, but they're just inconsistent. Tyrone will come back next year. Derry are a force to be reckoned with. Down of Conor Laverty coming in as manager. Cavan still waiting in the long grass. Fermanagh have a good appointment coming in Kieran Donnelly and good young players coming through there. I just don't see enough young players coming through in Monaghan. That's the frank reality of it. I know they reached minor quarterfinals in the past. Like they played Cork a few seasons ago. I know they won Ulster that year, but even Cork were way ahead of them that year in the minor championship. So I just think this Monaghan team, unfortunately, it's on the way down. They've decent young players. Like Aaron Mulligan is a prime example, but I don't know what's happened to them in recent years. You look at a few others as well. I don't know. Killian Lavelle is another one in midfield who I'm impressed by, but there's only a few really. There's not really a good team coming through, and that's the worry I have with Monaghan. And disappointment, I think, is very, very risky with Vinnie Corey. He's only been out of playing, I think, 2-3 years now, and I think it's a big, big risk, a big job for Vinnie Corey here.
Yeah, absolutely. Another very interesting managerial appointment was Paddy Christie to Longford. Obviously, this news broke when I was doing the managerial merry-go-round podcast with John McMahon, but it wasn't official, I suppose, at that moment in time. It is official now. Paddy Christie, Longford manager, Dublin legend, all the rest. He's obviously been heavily involved with Ballymunkickums down the years. He's had a couple of different, I think he was involved with Tipperary for a few years there as well. So comes in here as the Longford manager. I mean, very, very interesting appointment, this one.
It is, yeah, and even what he's done with Tipperary, with the youngsters there, and it's very, very interesting to see how he'll get on, because Longford are a young team. They have the likes of Joseph O'Hagan there, Jack Duggan, Owen Kenny, who 3 forwards particularly that I'm really impressed with Longford. Jack Duggan, especially in the under-20 championship, was one of the top scorers. I think only Rory Canavan scored more than him. So that tells you all you need to know how good a player he is. And Paddy Christie's definitely the ideal coach to nurture that talent. I think he's an excellent appointment. The worry is for Longford though, I think Division 3 will be even tougher though next year. I think, like, you look at the teams there, I think, like, you look at Tipperary, I think they're probably the favourites to go down, look at their trajectory. But then when you look at Antrim have appointed Andy McAtee, who in his own right is a decent coach there as well. Fermanagh have some good young players there. And they'd be decided in and around that relegation zone. So that'll be a tough ask for Longford to stay up. And it's same with Monaghan. Like, Longford are the kind of county, like Monaghan, they always seem to find a way to stay up in Division 3. But will this be the year they go down? But unlike Monaghan, I think this is a good appointment. He's experienced. He knows the game inside out. He's been with Tipperary in the past few years. He nurtured young talent there. He's going to nurture talent here as well. So, I think it's the best of both worlds here. I think it's a very good appointment for Longford GAA, and I'm really excited to see what the likes of Jack Duggan, Owen Kenny, and Joseph O'Hagan could do, because Owen Kenny I interviewed on my podcast. Joseph O'Hagan was very good at the Sigerson Cup for DCU, I think it was. And of course, Jack Duggan, very good in the Under-20 Championship in the All-Ireland series last year. So 3 very good young players, and Paddy Christie's definitely the player, definitely the right man to nurture that talent. I'd be very confident if I was a Longford fan.
Yeah, I think it's a very intriguing appointment, most definitely. And as you said, in Division 3, like, it's going to be tough for them in there. Make no mistake about that. I think the aim probably will be just to solidify and try stay away from a relegation battle, and obviously try push up as high as the table as you can. But like, there is a good couple of players who've opted out in the last couple of seasons. Like, it'd be interesting to see if they can get Rian Brady maybe back in the panel for next season. I think that getting someone like him in would be crucial from a Longford perspective. I suppose the last manager to discuss in terms of new managers hired as of recently was Ushi McConville, taking over as Wicklow manager. Now, this was certainly one that caught me by surprise, and certainly caught a lot of other people by surprise as well. Like, it's like there are plenty of good, under-20 players that have come through in the last couple of years for Wicklow. Like, Owen Darcy looks very good. A few other lads, Connor Byrne, who I on the podcast not too long ago. So there's a couple of good young players coming in, but it's another one of them where it's like him going in there. It's hard to know really what the ambition's going to be, what the long-term plan is realistically going to be. Is he just going there for a couple of years to build up managerial experience ahead of potentially going, back to his own county or going somewhere else. I don't know. But at the same time, like in Division 4, you'd probably have Wicklow as one of the favourites. So he's probably going to go into a team that's going to be, aiming to get out of Division 4. But what were your thoughts on this appointment?
First of all, I think Oisin McConville is a loss to the Sunday game, really, because I think he's an absolutely brilliant pundit. He's one of my favourite pundits, and he did an excellent job at the Sunday game there. This is an intriguing appointment now, because this could go either way, really. Like, you look at we talk about soccer analogies all the time. Like, Gary Neville seems to be a good pundit on Sky, and then he went to Valencia and did an absolutely terrible job there. I don't want Oisin McConville to do a terrible job, because I absolutely love him as a pundit. I think he's defended counties in the past. He understands what Cork are going through as well, which is the main thing, why I want him to do well. But like Wicklow, they're Division 4. I think the main thing for Wicklow, they have to get promoted under Oisin McConville. And another example actually with GAA, I think Peter Canavan went in at Fermanagh and didn't do a good job there. So, and he was an excellent player. He's an excellent pundit with Sky. That's a prime example with the GAA as well. So, and don't forget, Oisin McConville's done a lot of work with BBC Northern Ireland as well in the podcast, etc. He's done atrocious work. He's done absolutely outstanding. But this is a different kettle of fish with Wicklow. They do have the players there. They do have Conor Byrne, as you mentioned, and Owen Darcy. They also have Kevin Quinn, who hit the back of the net nearly every league game or championship game or whatever. He did absolutely outstanding. You have Mark Jackson in goal. You have Ronan O'Toole. You have some decent players in Wicklow. You have Malachi Stone in the back line as well, very good player as well. Nicky Devereaux, very good. So they have good players all over the park, Wicklow. But this, as I said, this could go either way, this appointment. I hope Oisin McConville does well, because I respected him as a player. I respect him as a pundit even more. I hope he does well with Wicklow, and I have a Wicklow jersey in my room as well. I'd love Wicklow to do well. I've been outside their stadium. So I really want Wicklow to do well, and I've been in contact with some of their players as well. They seem to love my page as well. So, yeah, that's one county other than Cork I really want to do well, this Wicklow team. I really want them to make a run at Leinster, get promoted from Division 4, and go even further. Like, there is potential in Wicklow, and I hope Oisin McConville, I hope it goes well for him. But there is the risk that it won't go well for him. It's a bit of a risky appointment, like Vinnie Gorey. It could go either way, Aaron. Who's to know? But when the news came out, I was surprised as you were. I was really surprised. I thought Eamon Murray, all this time, the former media GFA manager, would get selected for the job. Ended up Oisin McConville. And I was like, what? Seriously? And he didn't pick Monaghan. Well, he didn't pick Monaghan, and he picked Wicklow. That kind of tells you where Monaghan are kind of at as well. Forgot that. So, it's an interesting one. It's a very interesting appointment. I'm really intrigued to see how this appointment goes.
Yeah, Wicklow's always been a county that I've always liked as well. Like, I always see them as the sort of the nice neighbours, of Dublin. I'm sure plenty of them don't really like us, but I've never had a problem with Wicklow anyways. Like, I think I've always sort of cheered them in the Leinster Championship down the years when they've gone up against your Kildares or your Meads or anything like that. But how did you end up with a Wicklow jersey? Out of interest?
I bought it online. That was the thing. Like there was a sale online on some GAA gear page, and I was thinking this was a Wicklow jersey for 2018. There's, the yellow one that cuts across the crest. It's a very nice jersey actually. So I was thinking I'd buy this. It was cheap anyway, so I bought. Like, I have other county jerseys in Limerick, Tipperary, and Sligo as well. So all that I need now is an Ulster jersey. I don't know what I'll buy, probably Derry or Fermanagh or someone like that. So I have a Leinster and Connacht jersey as well as 3 Munster county jerseys. So, but that Wicklow jersey, I wore it outside Ockram as well. Took a photo outside there. So, it brings back a few memories, and really like the jerseys. Very nice design actually, as are all Wicklow jerseys. It's actually a county that you'd buy their jersey because it just looks nice. It's a very nice jersey indeed. So that's probably why I bought it, and it was cheap as well. So it helps.
Yeah, it's a bit like the Sligo jersey as well. The Sligo jersey is usually very good. The only problem with the likes of Wicklow Sligo is you don't really get to see them wear it too often, unfortunately. Yeah. So hopefully, anyways, with Oisin McConville coming in, we can actually see Wicklow progress up the ladder a little bit as well. I suppose we'll run through some club results just from the weekend, and plenty of big club results obviously happening. So I suppose we'll run through the Kerry Football Championship. I obviously didn't see any of the games, so I'll just kind of run through some of the results here. So you had Shannon Rangers 4-10, St. Kieran's 1-14. You had Kenmare Shamrock 17 points, Dr. Crokes 1-14, and Kenmare Shamrocks progressing through to the next round of the Kerry Football Championship. Sean O'Shea with 10 points there in total, so very impressive performance from him. In Group 2, you had Dingle 111, East Kerry 213. I'm sure David Clifford was scoring all sorts of crazy points as he always does. Spa 413, Kerrins O'Ratley's 16 points. So East Kerry and Dingle progressed there. Mid Kerry 115, Austin Stacks 17. West Kerry 3-9, Nagale 4-15. Austin Stacks beaten, but they did still progress alongside Mid Kerry. And then you also in Group 4, Temple 10 points. Fella Rangers 114, South Kerry 16 points, Brendan's Board 16 points. So Temple getting a little bit lucky there in the end with the fact that South Kerry and Brendan's Board through, because that did allow Temple to progress. I suppose the big story there, Sean O'Shea with 10 points and East Kerry winning again. I mean, it's looking like, it's going to be hard to stop East Kerry. They're probably going to be the favourites. I haven't seen too much of them play. I've only seen clips and highlights and everything else. I'm sure Austin Stacks are going to be thereabouts as well. Maybe Dr. Crokes, Kenmare Shamrocks have looked very good, but East Kerry certainly the team to be.
They are, yeah. They're a very good side. And they're picking players like James O'Donoghue, Paul O'Shea's on the bench for them. That tells you all you need to know. Like, their panel is basically like an inter-county side, and it's superb for this East Kerry team. Like, I don't know how you stop it. I think they're going to win the Kerry Championship anyway. It's going to go down to the Club Championship, which I think now with Aaron is Kieran's O'Reilly's and Temple No in that final. Whoever wins that will go into the Munster Championship. I think Temple No will probably win that. I really like this Temple No side. They've the likes of Tyke Morley, Gavin Crowley, the Spillane brothers, of course, and Adrian and Killian. So they have some very nice players there in Temple No. But I think East Kerry will win it. And on Sean O'Shea, coincidentally, actually, he scored 10 points last week as well. So, yeah, including one that's up on my page, sent in by the brilliant Aidan Savage from Ballymcgilligan GAA Club. So, Sean O'Shea is on fire for Kenmare Shamrocks. He's bringing his All-Ireland form into the Club Championship. And seeing Sean O'Shea and David Clifford in full flight in the Kerry Championship, it's something to behold, really. And while we're on the Kerry Championship as well, I'd never seen such a reaction for a junior championship game as there was for a FOSSA game. I think it was online somewhere where they were just crowding the pitch afterwards, just trying to get an autograph with David Clifford. I mean, like, it's brilliant. It's brilliant for the young kids to get autographs from a junior player. Like, you know, it's brilliant to see. It is absolutely brilliant to see. What's the Club Championship all about, Aaron? It's about them moments, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I think it's great to see, you know, David Clifford lining out for FOSSA, for giving it his all in the junior championship, and obviously being involved with East Kerry as well. You know, he's not wrapped up in cotton wool like some players have sometimes been in the Dublin Championship down here, when we've been very, very successful, obviously, and, you know, winning 5 in a row, 6 in a row, all the rest. So it is great to see him playing week in, week out. And obviously East Kerry doing as well as they have been as well. Just looking at the some results from the Mayo Football Championship. So it was the final round of games in the group stages of the Mayo Senior Football Championship as well. So Westport got a big win over Mayo Gales, 13 points to 10 points, and Ballintubber beat the Neil 3-16 to 1-6. So big result there. Westport and Ballintubber, the two teams that progressed there. Knockmore overcame a bit of a scare against Ballydoreen, and they needed to win that game to progress and obviously keep alive their hopes of winning 3 Mayo Senior Football Championships in a row. They did win 111 to 10 points. Ballina Stephenites have been flying in the Mayo Championship, and they beat Ahamore 4-14 to 2-8. So big result for Ballina Stephenites. Brayfeet have won all their games so far this year. They beat Belmulla 13 points to 1-8, and Bala got beaten 1-9 to 15 points by Clare Morris. Interesting enough, that defeat by Belmulla means that they're out of the Mayo Championship, even though they were in the county final last year. So it does show how competitive the Mayo Championship can be. Davits 2-9, Castlebar Mitchells 17 points. Actually, no, I think that was a different result. Mayo GAA haven't updated their website there, but I did see, I think it was a draw between Castlebar Mitchells in their game. So I think they did progress in the end. But I suppose the big story there, Knockmore just about getting through, and Belmullet beaten by Brafey. Brafey won 3 games now this season. Again, haven't seen too much of the Mayo Championship, but I've been keeping an eye on match reports and everything else. And, when you look at Brafey and you look at the team of players that they've had and how they haven't won a county title, it's kind of extraordinary. But 3 wins from 3, big wins over the likes of Belmullet and Clare Morris in there. Maybe this year's the year.
Maybe so, but I'm still going to back Westport for I like yourself, Aaron. I haven't seen much of the Mayo Championship. I actually seen some of the group stages last year, but I've been caught up with so many stuff with the paper down here in Cork that I just haven't kept an eye on it really. But Belmullet, a surprise there that they're out. I thought they would have gone on and run really in this championship, but again, like the Mayo Championship is one of the best in the country. It's a very entertaining championship once you watch it, and yeah, it seems to be that the 3 favourites there are probably aren't one of the 3 favourites looking at form. Probably I would say Westport, Ballinasstephenites, you say, are a good form, and Brafey, the other team as well. So it's probably between them 3. Ballinasstephenites, I think they won All-Ireland as well, so I'm not entirely sure about that. Westport, I tipped them to win the Connacht Championship, so I'm going to still tip them to win it. But yeah, the Mayo Championship seems to be interesting enough. I probably should keep more of an eye on it, really, but not more surviving there, and maybe that's the sign that the run is coming to an end for this Not More team. They won it for the first time in ages last year, or 2 years ago, should I say. So yeah, maybe this is the year where their great run comes to an end.
Yeah, it is still early days yet, and I suppose we've seen even with Corfin down the years where they might lose a game in the group stages, but in the end, sort of find a way to get through and find a way to make it. So still early days yet, but they did progress in the end, and yeah, certainly be doing plenty of match reactions when it gets to the latter rounds of the likes of the Kerry Championship and the Mayo Championship as well. Just looking at some results from the Tyrone Senior Football Championship of the weekend. Now, this is an interesting one because it's straight knockout here, no group stages, and one of the games is actually still going on right now, I think, as we speak. So I'm not going to go through all the results, but Errigal Kieran got a big win over Moytiernan and Og, 115 to 110. He also had Dungannon, who put up a big result against Tralee in the end, a huge result there for them. So, I mean, it kind of is mad looking at the Tyrone Senior Football Championship, straight knockout. You had Dromore, who came through their opening game as well. But it's mad, really, like the way it's just straight knockout, one chance, and then you're out.
Yeah, it's a mad system, all right. Like, there's not even a back door for this. And, like, correct me if I'm wrong, no, if Tralee did lose, that's them out, is it?
Yeah, that's them gone, yeah.
Jesus. That is incredible. That is really incredible. And it's kind of harsh when you think about it. There's no back door for this. Like, even in the old system in Cork, there was a back door. There was a second round, whatever. There was a second round, I think, in Dublin, the old system, in Kerry, the old system, Mayo as well. But for Tyrone to get the teams out straight away after one game, I think that's a bit harsh. It really is a bit harsh. But, like, Tralee, that's a huge surprise. Like, they have good players all over the field. Like, Matty Donnelly, I think what's his name, Lee Brennan there as well. Like, there's a lot of good players in that Tralee side, and they're out. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. Dromore through, I guess, like Errigal Kieran, look a good side as well. But I think you mentioned that statistic that in the last 10 years there's been 10 different winners in the Tyrone Championship. Don't be surprised if there's another one now. Like, it's an absolutely incredible championship, and once it gets to the semis of the final, I definitely have to watch this as well. Hopefully they'll be on RT. I think they definitely will be on RT because it's one of the most entertaining championships in the whole country. Not so much, I think, quality, because they seem to do well in don't do well in the Ulster Championship later on. They lost to, I think it was the winners last year. Dromore lost to Derry Gonley Harps from Fermanagh. So, like, it isn't the best quality, but for entertainment, Tyrone is right up there. It's a brilliant championship to watch, and for Tralee to go out, first time me hearing that, I'm actually shocked by that. I really am shocked. That is a big surprise. Surprise of the weekend, maybe.
Yeah, and I think the game was on Friday night, but yeah, it was Dungannon 3-8 for 11 points. And just looking at the Tralee side that played on the day, like Lee Brennan played, scored 5 points. 4 of them from frees. You had Matty Donnelly there. Richie Donnelly, another player who's going to come into the Tyrone side over the last couple of seasons. He came off the bench. And then looking at Dungannon, obviously Paul Donaghy's a notable player who stands out there. He scored 2 points on the day. Peter Quinn with 1-2. So, yeah, kind of a big shock as well. And just looking at some results then from the Armagh Football Championship. So, it was a big win for Grainmore. They beat Mullabon by 8 points. Forgive me if I get that one wrong. You've got Ballymacnab, who lost to Mahary by a point as well. And just before we went live, Crossmaglen were playing, and they did get held to extra time. So I'm going to refresh the page here, and hopefully that game is finished. Maybe it's gone to penalties. I don't really know. But do think Crossmaglen have come through that game in the end. Yeah, 115 to 1-5. So that's quite a scoreline considering it did go to extra time. So Crossmaglen, their dream of getting back the Armagh Football Championship is still alive.
What was the score at the full time? If the losing side got 1-5, if I'm hearing that correctly, they got 1-5.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go, but I think it was like 7. I think it was like 1-4. Yeah, at full time it was 1-4 to 7 points. So yeah, that's bizarre. So Crossmaglen actually scored more in extra time. So they scored 7 points in normal time, and then they scored 1-8 in extra time. So I'm not too sure what was going on there. Did they leave the O'Neills on the bench and then they brought them on, or what exactly went on? I don't know, but yeah, that's kind of mad, to be honest.
Oh Jesus! Like these club results, I need to be keeping an eye on these club results other than Cork, like, because these are absolutely mad. Like scoring 7 points in normal time and then scoring 1-8 in extra time. Imagine that, like, Jesus, you know, that is absolutely incredible. Yeah, I think Crossmaglen will probably be favourites for the Armagh Championship again. Like the last year's champions, Mahary, are now without Tyrrell because of or not Mahary, what am I saying? Clonairon, that's the side they won in Armagh, and they're missing Tyrrell Kelly after the eye-gouging incident against Galway. So that'll be a big loss to them. So I would imagine that Crossmaglen surely will win the Armagh Championship this time around. But looking at that result, though, seeing as it gone to extra time, maybe there's a few flaws in that Crossmaglen team, but maybe it's like the not more situation. Maybe it's a bit too early to say, but we don't know yet. But I would imagine that Crossmaglen will have the drive to finally win an Armagh Championship for the first time, I don't know, in how long? 2019 maybe? So yeah, it's good. They haven't won in quite a while, really, Crossmaglen. So this year probably has to be the year for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, and I've seen a bit of them obviously against Silverbridge as well, and Keane McConville absolutely outstanding throughout that game. Like, so I think, you know, they're looking very good. They certainly have the players, they certainly have the talent. I'd love to see them go into the All Ireland Club Series as well, just to see them have a crack against, you know, potentially even a Kilcoo or something like that if they come through down. So that'll certainly be interesting. Just going through some other games here. So St. Lomans beat Killucan 15 points to 1-9. They were trailing at half time, but turned around in the end. I think I've seen a statistic where they've reached 8 Westmeath senior football finals in a row. And like, when you look at some of their players on their side, like John Heslin, Ronan O'Toole is in there. Like, they've got a tremendous amount of talent. Like, it's kind of strange that they haven't come closer to Leinster in the last couple of seasons. Like, you know, it's not like it's been Dublin sides that have dominated year in, year out. You've had Mullinachta who've pulled off shocks. Ratnew of Wicklow have pulled off shocks as well. So, I mean, it's interesting, but seeing them going into the Leinster Championship with some of the players that they have, I mean, surely they're going to be a bit of a threat.
They have to be. Yeah, it's kind of like Ballygunner, really, in Munster. Once they, or the All-Ireland series, indeed, if they get over the line, it'll just encourage them to do more. And I think that's the situation here with St. Lomans. They have some very nice players there, as you mentioned. John Hazelton, like, he's an outstanding player, and he would you know, dominate most games in Leinster, indeed. But looking at this Kilmacud team, and from what I'm hearing now, I haven't watched any Kilmacud games, but I've only seen their team sheet, and I've seen match reports and highlights on RT or whatnot. But according to them anyway, Kilmacud are the team to beat in Leinster. They'd be a big, strong team. Coming out of Dublin will be a stretch kind of for them, but you would expect it'll be a St. Lomans and Kilmacud final. When you look at it, actually, I think Aero from Carlow reached the Leinster final in 2019 as well against Ballyboten. So, you know, that's a load of Leinster sides have done well, and St. Lomans have been you're pushed out to the side. I think this has to be the year for them, really, to make a push at it. As well as that, you've teams from Loud as well. Sambo Roy's club, I'm not sure what the name of their club is, but they're very good in Loud as well. So, yeah, they'd be pretty good. Nace, maybe from Kildare, could make a run at it as well. But I think Kilmacud will probably be a bit too much for St. Omans this year. But maybe next year they can make a run of it. But for this year, they have to make a Leinster final to stamp their authority on the Leinster Championship with the players they have, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just looking at some of the well, I suppose speaking about St. Lomans, they obviously still have to be Gary Castle, of course, as well in the final. So it's not like they're through Westmeath just yet. So I don't want plenty of Gary Castle players maybe watching this now, all of a sudden getting a bit of motivation going into that final. We'll obviously have to wait and see what happens there. Just looking at some of the games from the Dublin Hurling Championship that were on at the weekend. So Coola and Kilmacud Crokes had already progressed through to the semi-final. So it was just two quarter-finals that were taking place. Nafina beat St. Vincent's 119 to 17 points. I watched this game earlier on Dubs TV. Obviously, as a Vincent's man myself, certainly cheering for Vincent's. And first half was looking very good, 12 points to 1-7 up, I think, at half-time. Nafina looked very, very flat. They definitely weren't at the races at all. John Heatherton was in brilliant form, 5 points in total, 2 frees. I don't know for what happened, but I know in commentary anyway, they were saying that he was playing a full forward, but for some reason they moved him back to, I think, fullback or centre back or something of that nature in the second half. I don't know why, because he was causing all sorts of damage for Nafina. And then to make matters worse, he got himself sent off as well. And Vincent's also missed the penalty. So it was a bit of a disastrous ending in the end, but Nafina obviously progressing. You also have Ballybowden St. Enda's that progressed as well. Conal Keeney, we've seen him score an absolute monstrous point last week for the footballers down by the sideline. He came off the bench and he scored again in this game as well. I mean, it's kind of extraordinary, really, how he still has the legs at this stage. And, you know, it's kind of funny with Conal Keeney, with some of these players that you hear about. Noel McNamee was an example earlier for Road as well. Like, it's just mad. Like, what are they eating or what are they doing to keep themselves still going? It's mental.
It is, yeah, and even down here in Cork, you have Donnacha O'Connor. Remember him, very good footballer for Cork. He's 41 years of age, and he's playing centre forward in a college divisional final. I mean, what is going on here? Pierce O'Neill is playing in Premier Intermediate, which is a pretty good grade in Cork, at the age of 43. What are they eating these athletes? Like, it's absolutely incredible what they do. Like Conal Keeney, I thought he'd retire years ago, and he's still going, you know, in hurling and football. I mean, geez, that is incredible stuff. Noel McNamee's even more incredible because he's still playing inter-county as we speak as well. Like, I don't know what goes on, like, especially GAA nowadays, where, you know, the workload is so much that a player can't really take it. Like, you see James O'Donoghue for Kerry retiring early. And you see these sorts of athletes keep going and going and going until they're 40. You know, it's senior level. I think that's incredible. It's a credit to themselves as well. And I've seen Owen O'Gara did a bit in Wexford football as well, like at a pretty old age. Jesus, like, when does it stop? Like, a load of old fellas. I'm not sure if you see Smaller Fish podcast, what's the name, Colin Parkinson, have a series on Twitter, all fellas still doing a job. And
yeah,
it's brilliant to see. It's brilliant to see these players all over the country excel. And yeah, it's outstanding. It really is outstanding. And you'd wonder, like, most of them players are probably fitter than us two put together, I'd say, Aaron. It's incredible. Oh, yeah. It's absolutely incredible when you think about it. And all credit to them. All credit to these old fellas that, as Parkinson will call them.
Yeah, just absolutely mental. Like, I mean, like his point by the sideline last week, I remember seeing that live, and I was just like, I can't believe he's actually just done that. Like, that's just absolutely nuts. Like, just like, and he just does it so casually as well. Like, it looked like at ease. He could have done that 5-6 times in a row. Was just was absolutely mental, and it certainly would be quite the story if Ballybowden done the double in Dublin, and Conal Keeney, you know, maybe would that be his swan song at senior level? I don't know. I certainly wouldn't want to rule him out anyway, because at the rate he's going at, he certainly looks like he's plenty more years in the tank. Looking at the two semi-finals from the Cork Hurling Championship, so it was a big win for Blackrock, and then also St. Finbarr's 225, Newtown Shandrum 20 points. I know you're obviously watching a lot of Cork games over the weekend. I'm not too sure if you got a chance to watch this game in the end, but what a result in the end for Finbarrs, and the I mean, we were saying about Conal Keeney and Dublin potentially, or Conal Keeney and Ballyboden doing a double, but St. Finbarrs could potentially be on a way to do a double in Cork.
They can do, yeah. They've been an absolutely brilliant run, and yeah, the main thing about St. Finbarrs, the caveat to this is a load of Castlehaven players are actually playing for the Bars in hurling, and both teammates are playing each other in the Cork semi-final next Sunday. Like, it's incredible. It really is incredible when you think about it. Damien Cahalane, Conor Cahalane, and Jack Cahalane are all playing for the Bars in hurling and Castlehaven in football. And when you look at the Bars team, I think only 5 of them are actually dual players themselves. I think Jamie Burns has won, Brian Hayes has won as well, very good player for the Cork football, so I laud a lot. Ben O'Connor, who also plays rugby as well, so that's 3 sports for him. Ethan Toomey, who's doing excellent as well, and I think there's one more. I'm not entirely sure what his name is, but yeah, there's 5 of them there, but they get the balance correct, the Bars. And what I noticed about St. Finbarrs as well, the physicality of them, the energy they have is absolutely incredible. Even for football last year, keeping up with Kilcrew last year in football, in hurling they've brought it to a new level as well. Like SARS couldn't keep up with them. Newtown Chandram couldn't today. And neither could Douglas, no matter how hard they tried in the quarterfinals as well. So the Bars are a team on the rise in both hurling and football. I think it'll be a big story. Like, you look at Lockmore Castellini last year, Kilmacud Crokes last year. This will be a big story, I think. And honestly, I've said in the past that Cork Hurling Club Championship isn't great for quality. I honestly think if the Bars make it out of the final against Blackrock, I think the Bars could win Munster. I honestly think so. They're a pretty good side. They're good all over the field. They have good, strong physical players. And I think that'll suit them down to the ground. I think it'll be probably them or Ballygunner to win it in the end. Like, it'll be some final, really, Ballygunner against the Bars. If Blackrock make it through, I think they'll go out to the clear side in the semi-final. I don't think they'll have their heads for the Munster Championship anyway. And interesting enough, like, a former Dublin manager is in charge for the Bars, actually, Ger Cunningham. He's in charge of the Bars team. His son is actually their free taker as well. So, there's a lot of family around, the Cahalanes, the Cunninghams. They're doing the bit for the Bars, and yeah, they're on the road for a double potentially, and they're on the road for one of the stories of the club championship across the country. They're a brilliant club, really.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of mad, really. Like, because I mean, their football championship was their first in, was it 8 years, 9 years, or something of that nature. And obviously they've come around now, and they're coming close to the hurling championship. Like, what do you think is maybe changed with Finbarrs? Has there been just a whole load of work put in at underage level? Is this just a golden generation of players that they have, or what's the sort of reasoning behind it, do you think?
I honestly think it's something to do with, what Limerick and Dublin are doing in intercounty with strength and conditioning behind the scenes. The Bars must be doing something with that, because their players are absolutely huge, looking all over the field. Like, they're like nearly an intercounty strength. So I don't think quality may be off a small bit, but I think strength and conditioning is way up in the Bars at the moment. And you look at the Cahalanes as well, coming in from Castlehaven for the hurlers. I mean, Jamie Cahalane is turning into a monster this year. And I didn't rate him for the Cork hurlers, but Joe Cunningham has really done something with him in that defensive line as well. And yeah, you're right. Like, they won their first in quite a while in 2018. They beat Duhallow, they got over the line, and there was a period of time, actually, they lost 2 football finals in a row against Clonakilty and against Nemo Rangers in 2009 and 2010. And they went on a few barred spells. They got relegated, I think, to the second grade of Cork football. And then they went back up again, and they've risen and done absolutely brilliant. And in the hurling, they were kind of the team before this year that flattered to deceive. A kind of like Ballymun or Brafey and Mayo. They were kind of a team that had the quality, but they didn't produce it on the pitch. And they're now producing on the pitch. I think that's down to really the manager drilling it into them. Joe Cunningham's an outstanding coach. He did a decent enough job with Dublin. He's been involved with Cork backroom teams as well. So I think he's done an outstanding job with the Bars. And I honestly think there has to be something behind the scenes with this Bars team, both football and hurling, similar to Dublin and Limerick, maybe Kerry in a small sense as well. Like, the Bars are absolutely massive all over the field. And I think their strength and conditioning compared to other clubs in Cork is way up the charts. I think they're absolutely outstanding. They're a credit to themselves as well. And they add the quality to boot in both codes, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think it's going to be a very intriguing final, certainly, and it'd be great to see, I suppose, See Finbars go into that All-Ireland or go into that Munster Club Senior Hurling Championship, maybe potentially with the likes of your Ballygunners and whatnot, I think it would make it very, very entertaining, make no mistake about that. In terms of the football side and looking at the football semi-finals next weekend, you've obviously got Finbars against Castlehaven, and remind me of the other semi-final again because it's slipped my memory.
It's Nemo Rangers against Ballincollig. So it's two huge games. Like you would have expected Nemo and Castlehaven and the Bars to reach the semi-final. The Bars did automatically. Castlehaven beat Mallow last weekend. Nemo just got over the line against Carbery Rangers. Like Carbery Rangers, I thought actually deserved to win that game, and Nemo were actually lucky to win it. They had to rely a shot off the post and coming back to Barry O'Driscoll's hands to put it in the back of the net. And yeah, Ross Carbery didn't have a response after that. That was about it. But Ballincollig are kind of the shock team, but they beat Carbery side last week. They had a good run. They won 5 games in the divisional championship. They beat UCC. They beat Duhallow, but their run just came to an end. There was a lot of junior players in that team. And for context for the rest of the country, juniors probably is the 5th, Junior A indeed, and some of them were Junior B. Junior A is the 5th grade in Cork football. Junior B is the 6th grade. And a lot of them players were playing for Carbery, the senior championship. So grade 5 with grade 1. It's a big, big jump for them. And Ballincollig just had enough for them. They just had the strength and conditioning, really, to get over the line in that game. I'd be interested with Ballincollig. Talking of all fellas, really, with Parks. And again, I'm sure you remember Paddy Kelly, very good footballer for Cork. He's nearing 40 and he's still playing for Ballincollig as well. Like he's like a magician in the middle of the field. Usually comes on as a sub, so that'd be interesting to see. But I'd be intrigued to see Nemo next week. They didn't perform well against Carbery Rangers. They didn't perform well against Clonakilty either. And mentioning Clonakilty, they reached the final last year and they got knocked out in the group stage this year, losing to Nemo, Castlehaven, and drawing to Newcestown, a side that got relegated. So Clon were actually closer to relegation than they were to the final. So that's a big, big drop-off for them Clonakilty players. But I'd be interested to see what Nemo do in the semi-final against Ballincollig. Ballincollig are a side that sit back and then break quick. Nemo, will they have the players to deal with that? I'm not entirely sure. They have forwards that don't necessarily track back. The likes of Luke Conley, the likes of Mark Collins, Paul Kerrigan's another old fella, really, in centre forward, may I add. So, yeah, they have a load of them players, but the next semi-final between the Bars and Castlehaven is absolutely mouth-watering. And I said this on the Southern Star podcast, check it out if you haven't already, that this isn't only intriguing for West Cork or the whole of Cork. This is intriguing, I think, for the whole country. Because the last 2 encounters actually went to penalty shootouts. Last year's had 6 goals in it. 316 to 316 after extra time. I mean, it was an incredible game of football, and these 2 sides will go at it again. And then again, the Cahalans were playing hurling today for the Bars. They're going to play against them in football now on Sunday. So there's going to be no love lost. It's going to be a big, big game. And Castlehaven, they haven't won a county championship since 2013. And for a club that only concentrates on football, this is a big game for Castlehaven. The Bars, they have that experience of playing Kilcrew last year, so this will be a big game for them as well. But Castlehaven won in 2020. The Bars won in 2021. Who will win the trilogy? Well, Sunday will decide this. And it's live at the Irish Examiner if you want to watch it. Very, very intriguing game to watch. I definitely recommend anybody that hasn't watched the Cork Football Championship to watch this game in particular. It's going to be an absolute cracker at Barky Cave.
Yeah, so who would be your pick then to win the Cork Championship at this moment in time, or who would be the favourites? Would Finbar still be the leading favourites at the moment?
They probably would, yeah. I think their scoring is absolutely outstanding, but Castlehaven are a very dangerous side for the Bars next week. Nemo, I honestly don't think Nemo are that great, but there's the situation really. Castlehaven could perform well against the Bars and get through the semi-final, and then they face Nemo in the final and Nemo win it. Because Castlehaven don't necessarily win finals. So Nemo, I think if Castlehaven reach the final, I think Nemo will win it. If the Bars reach the final, I think the Bars will win it. It all depends on this game next Sunday. I think it'll be a huge, huge game. Honestly, as a West Cork man, I actually love Castlehaven to go on a run. The Bars I had a connection with last year. So either of them 2 sides to represent Cork and Munster, I'd be delighted. But honestly, right now, I'd say the Bars, they look very strong all over the field. And look at their scores this season. I'll put them up on my Instagram and Twitter pages in the next week or so. But like, without Stephen Sherlock, they managed, I think, they've most of their scores are coming from play. Like, they've the 4 highest scores from play. I think Killian Myers-Murray, Ethan Tooby, Ben O'Connor, and Brian Hayes are all in that list from play. And that's without Stephen Sherlock, who's been injured since the Dublin game in the quarterfinal in Croke Park. So that tells you all you need to know of the Bars' strength and conditioning and strength and quality off the bench as well. I think they're the favourites. They're the Stonewall favourites. But don't be surprised if Castlehaven beat them next week. It should be a cracker of a game.
Yeah, it's interesting, all right, that you mentioned Stephen Sherlock's still out injured. I wasn't actually aware of that, so it probably does show the amount of quality that they do have, that they can have a star of his nature out injured. But yeah, here they are still in the semi-finals. Jack Nulty here was saying Shamrocks Ballyhale off, was it today? I think it was due to a club bereavement of some nature. So I do pass on my my condolences to all involved. And actually, probably should have mentioned this at the start of the podcast, but certainly do pass on all my thoughts and condolences with Brendan Devaney, who obviously lost his sister and his father tragically within hours of each other. So just absolutely awful, that, to be honest. Like, I can't imagine what he's going through there. So I do pass on my thoughts. Jack also says here, Cody, James Stevens shocked Bennett's Bridge. So Brian Cody, we all thought he was going to retire, but he's obviously now in charge of James Stevens. They're pulling off shocks beating Bennett's Bridge. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that one. I mean, it would be some story, wouldn't it, if Brian Cody goes into James Stevens and they went and beat Ballyhale in the Kilkenny Hurling Championship final. I mean, that'd be mental. I mean, it mightn't happen, but it'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Definitely would. Imagine a TJ Reid and Brian Cody final. Like, I definitely want to watch the Kilkenny Hurling final. There's a load of championships I really want to watch now, listening to yourself and listening to the results up and down the country. It's absolutely outstanding. But even for Brian Cody to win the All-Ireland, I think that would be an unbelievable story. It really would. I think that'd be the fairy tale ending for a brilliant coach in the GAA. And honestly, more I think about it, I actually want James Stevens to win the All-Ireland now, just for Cody. It's going to be brilliant if they do it. Look, like, even a TJ Reid and Brian Cody final, that's mouth-watering, it has to be said. But if James Stevens win the All-Ireland, what an ending for a fantastic coach in the game.
Yeah, 100%. Just finishing up then, just with some results from the Clare Senior Hurling Championships. So you had Six Mile Bridge. You got a big result there against Wolf Tones, 322 to 18 points. Cratloe beat Newmarket on Fergus, 223 to 216. And then you did also have the game earlier today, which of course was delayed for about 40 minutes due to a leg injury to to Jason McCarthy. So I do hope he's okay. It was actually a 40-minute wait for an ambulance to get to the stadium. The game was delayed on TG Caher for about 40 minutes. So we didn't even get to see the end of the game in the end, because obviously we were watching the Offaly Senior Football Championship final, which Rode did win in the end, beating Tullamore. But the game did finish Air Oak 221, Ina Killen and Mona 16 points. So thoughts go out to Justin McCarthy, or to Jason McCarthy. I don't know why I keep calling him Justin. It's been a late Sunday, and I think maybe that is time to wrap it up here. So Matthew, top man, appreciate you coming on. I suppose before we finish up, I'm going to start doing this thing on the podcast just when we finish up. Just your club moment of the week. Was there anything that stood out that you've seen online on Twitter? Like, we've seen plenty of brilliant scores, brilliant moments. Any club moments of the weekend from yourself?
You know what? It's an opportunity on a national YouTube channel, a national GAA YouTube channel, to say St. James's won the Southwest Junior A Championship in Cork, and they're promoted now to the Premier Junior Football Championship in Cork. And this was a side that was written off by so many. Out of the last 8, they were 7th by a local newspaper, and they reached all the way to the final, and they beat Argideen Rangers today. So very good achievement for James's. They're managed by Kerryman and Alan O'Shea, so well done to him. Very good win for James's, and well done to them. They're promoted to the inaugural Premier Junior Football Championship, and they'll be facing sides like St. Finbarr's B team in football. So it's a very good achievement. A small village in Ardfields, to win this championship and be in a county championship next season. I think it's a brilliant achievement for them. And the Junior A Football Championship in Carberry has been brilliant this season, brilliant covering it. And yeah, that's been my moment of the week. I may as well say it now. I'm on GAA Fan TV. So there you go.
There you go. Happy days. Happy days. Shout out to all the lads there who may or may not be watching. JMac Podcast says, "Hon the lads watching from Lanzarote." So there you go. Watching from Lanzarote. I hope you're enjoying the beer and the lovely weather. I'm not too sure why you're watching us in Lanzarote. Like I'd say, you know, like there's definitely plenty of other things I'm sure you could be doing, but I do appreciate the support, my man. Much appreciated. Did see some of the results from the Cavan Championship as well. Seeing Gauna pulled off a big result there as well. So shout out to all the lads over in Cavan. But we will wrap this up here. Matthew, appreciate you jumping on.
Thanks very much, Aaron. Great talking to you once again.